I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go, kiddos. Another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It is Tuesday, March 31st. Welcome into one and all. Boy, we got a great show for you today. We always say that, though. Colt Emerson. Boy, he got paid. We are going to get into Colt Emerson getting a whopper of a contract extension. If you don't know the details on that, we'll go through all of the particulars of what Colt Emerson got, what it means, where it ranks right now in the Mariners clubhouse in terms of contracts. An interesting take from Bill Simmons on his latest podcast about potentially Seattle being used. We'll get to that. John Canzano, Bald-Faced Truth, coming up in about 10 minutes or so on the pod. Brad Adam, Mariners TV, will join us as well, all brought to you by John Howie Steak. And, of course, John brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. This show brought to you by an army of sponsors. First and foremost, we start with Limback Lumber. Big thanks to Limback Lumber. Could not be here without all of the sponsors, especially Limback Lumber, the official studio here of Puck Sports. They offer free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner or do-it-yourself projects, largest stock moldings in the Northwest. They've got you covered for everything. Trust them. They know what they're doing. They've been doing business since 1930. Tell them Puck sent you. Give them a call at 206-782-3487. Visit them at limbacklumber.com. Visit me on social media. It's everywhere. You know it by now. Puck Sports everywhere. Also go to pucksports.com. You can sign up to become a Pucks Posse member. We give you bonus shows throughout the week. Like the Sports Pit coming out later today with Matt Stretch Johnson. Tomorrow, Ryan Divish, Inside Pitch. And then Thursday's KJ Arntz for just $5 a month. Now, if you can't afford the $5 a month, I get it. Then we will work something out. Just send me an email, puck@pucksports.com. And with the NFL draft coming getting here close or soon, I should say, we've got something else brewing with our NFL guys that will only be for Posse members. So you're going to want to sign up today at pucksports.com. We'll also have the final details, I'm hoping, later today on Puck's Major Challenge. I do know that the first place prize is going to be 2 rounds of golf at Gamble Sands, a twosome at either Gamble or Scarecrow, and another twosome at Quicksands. And we'll have it up hopefully today where you can start picking your golfers. If you played last year, you'd probably know the rules. Maybe I'll just remind everyone. You have to pick 2 golfers for each major. So it's over the course of the summer. You cannot use the same 2 golfers in another major. So if you use Rory and Scotty for the Masters, you can't use them again. And big thanks to Sandman Sports. So hopefully we'll have that up here in just a quick second. All right. What else do we got? Well, let's get to the Colt Emerson news before we talk to Canzano. 8 years, $95 million extension for Colt Emerson. I woke up to that news just stunned. There had been rumors going on here for a bit that someone was going to get extended. Now, most people thought it was going to be one of the pitchers. That's why I asked the question yesterday, if you were joining us, on Monday's podcast, where I asked Bill Kruger if you could only extend one of these guys, thinking it was a pitcher, which one would you extend? Now, you can make arguments for all of them, right? His response was George Kirby. I don't think anybody had this on their radar. No one that I know had this on their radar that Colt Emerson was going to be extended. And he gets a whopper of a deal. 8 years, $95 million. I believe a no trade clause as well. For Emerson, it includes a 9th-year club option. Yeah, full no trade. It can bring the deal past $130 million. He's just 20 years of age. So when he ends up, at 28, he can sign even a bigger deal if he turns out to be the player that I think a lot of people feel he can be. Now, it is a record for a player with no service time. That was previously held by Jackson Chourio with the Brewers, who signed an 8-year, $82 million deal with the Brewers in 2023. Now, it has been a resounding success for him. He's delivered his first 2 seasons in baseball. 275, 327, 464, 791, 21 home runs, 79 RBIs. Last year, 270, 308, 463, 770, 21 home runs and 78 RBIs. So that has worked out for them. Now, everyone's going to have the same response when they saw this news. What about, Evan White? Because Evan White, and again, I'm not comparing the two players. Evan White was a highly regarded prospect, though, coming up. And he was, many argue, one of the best fielding first basemen most people have seen here. I mean, he won a Gold Glove in 2020. And if you remember, he signed an extension. They went with him early. It was 6 years, $24 million. He played just 2 seasons in Seattle. They traded him to the Braves along with Jared Kelenic, and we'll get to Kelenic in a second. Then he was traded by the Braves to the Angels. He was granted free agency in 25. He's out of baseball. So there is that side of it. And for Jared Kelenic and everyone, there has been this thought that they offered something similar. This deal in which Emerson got, I don't know if it was the same amount of years or money, but there was always this thought that they had offered something similar to Kelenic to lock him up. You think Jared Kelenic is not kicking himself right now saying, I should have signed that? And I think the Mariners brass are thanking themselves for not doing it. So, hey, whatever. It's their money. They can do with whatever they want with it. You just hope that it doesn't prevent them from doing anything else in the future, but it doesn't sound like it will. Will they lock up one of these pitchers? They certainly can. They've got enough money to do anything that they want over there. I just think everyone is surprised by this. I've just brought this up. I don't know if this is right or wrong. I have zero clue. And I don't think anybody knows because none of us are in the clubhouse. I would just be curious how this would play in the clubhouse once he gets there. Now, all indications are he's a great guy. Davis has said it multiple times. Great guy. Great kid. Works hard. All business. Does not act like a 20-year-old. Great news. But, when you come in there and you're strolling in there, and I think I got to look up it again because I got it wrong earlier. He's the 5th or 6th highest per year guy on the team already. He's making more overall money than Josh Naylor. Not per year, but overall money. He's making more money per year. And again, they can backload and all that. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just telling you, averaging out 8 years, $95 million. That averages out more per year than what Logan Gilbert is getting. It's just, I don't know how veterans will act in there, because there's always this place for rookies and how they're supposed to handle themselves. And he's walking into a situation where he's been paid before all of these guys have ever been paid. It's just something to watch. And maybe it's not a problem. Probably won't be a problem, but just something that I thought of initially. I can't wait to see him. He has hit and delivered at every level he's been at. He's delivered so far this year in Tacoma. I think his first AB, he hit a home run. He's hitting 357. He's slugging 643. Last year when he combined at Everett, Arkansas, Tacoma, raked everywhere. 270, 770 OPS, slugged over 460. So this guy has been rumored and talked about for a long time, even though he's only 20. And everyone says the same thing. He's a can't-miss guy. We'll see. JP still on the IR. We'll see if he gets back here pretty soon. But, you're going to see him this year. There is no getting around that. You are going to see Colt Emerson coming up this year. Before we talk to John Canzano, we'll get more into the Mariners game a little bit later. That was a great game on a couple of fronts. One, obviously, is the Castillo. Donovan continues to shine. But it was a great moment there for Cal Raleigh, and we'll explain later. Bill Simmons had some interesting comments about the Seattle Mariners, about the Seattle Sonics. And people, when you hear this, you're going to be like, son of a bitch. Not what I want to hear. Bill Simmons, very connected to the NBA, has been for a while, wants the NBA back here in Seattle, but is Seattle potentially being used?
So if you live in Seattle and you read and consumed all this stuff the last week or so, you're like, this is amazing. We're getting the Sonics back. Here we go. That's not what's happening. And I think it's really weird how the league is handling this. Why not just be transparent and say, hey, we're just curious to see what we get for these expansion teams. This doesn't mean we're going to have expansion. Instead, you've completely led this poor Seattle people on who now think they're getting a team. And I don't know if that's true. If the goal is we have to right or wrong in Seattle, first of all, you never should have took the team from Seattle in the first place. Criminal when it happened. I still can't believe it happened. They let it happen and they didn't rectify it for almost 20 years. You better know you're going to have a team in Seattle in the next 3 years, because to extend this and make it seem like it's going to happen and then pull the rug out from under them again would be pretty fucked up.
This is everybody's worst nightmare in Seattle. Is this city, is this organization that's been being put together, being used for the NBA to gauge what they can charge later on down the road for expansion? Is this just a fishing expedition by the NBA? Now, if that happens, and Bill Simmons, if he's intimating if that's correct, then people in this city will be done forever with the NBA. They'll never come back. They'll never come back. And again, if it doesn't happen this time around with everything that's happening, and again, people understand what they voted on was not on expansion. It was just let's open up the dialogue further on expansion to start accepting and seeing what the bids are out there are. If they don't go through with this time, no one is coming back. This is their last chance there for the NBA. I hope Bill Simmons is wrong. But those out there that don't even want it back, that's what they're fearful of right there is what Bill Simmons said. All right, let's transition over to our weekly guest. He's on every Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, you know and love him. Bald-Faced Truth, John Canzano. Go read all of his work, johncanzano.com. His YouTube page, fantastic. John Canzano, the Bald-Faced Truth. He's with us every Tuesday, brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com. John Canzano is with us, johncanzano.com. Looking great as always. Can I start first here with the NBA? Because
yes,
you tie in here a little bit with what's happening in Portland. The Board of Governors just approved, right, officially the sale to and I'm blanking on his name, who
Tom
bought
Dundon.
the team.
Tom
Yes.
Dundon.
So that's signed, sealed, and delivered. Although the Allen Foundation, Jody and Bert are still around, correct?
Correct. And this part I don't like. It's a little fishy. I know people in Seattle love Bert. I know if you see him on the street at the Pike Fish Market, you're going to hug him, whether he's holding a salmon or not. And Jody, she's Queen Bee right there in the Emerald City. But down in Portland, they're Tweedledum and Tweedledee, Puck. And, they've been here too long. They've overstayed their welcome. Here's the deal. Dundon doesn't have the money, right? And few people do. Few people have $4 billion that they can go out and buy a sports franchise and raise all that money themselves. But it was very curious when the deal was initially announced. The wording caught my attention. And we talked about this on your show, that they said Dundon is under contract. He has the option to buy the Blazers. That was the language early. And I thought, gosh, why are they going public with this? Well, I reached out to other people who own sports franchises, and they said he doesn't have the money. He's fundraising. And so Dundon was out publicly looking for other investors, saying, hey, I've got the rights to buy the Blazers. He's raised most of the money. He's raised about 80% of that money, but they're short. And so there's a second phase. By September 1st, 2028, he's got to come up with the additional 20%, 19.9%. To fully buy the team. It's more or less on layaway. And this isn't unusual. This happened with a couple of other pro sports franchises. It's kind of how they float the transaction. But the valuation on the original 80% is $4 billion, and the valuation on the remaining 20% is $4.5 billion. So Jody and Bert are getting some juice here for the Paul G. Allen estate, which is probably a little bit good for the philanthropy part.
And I would think that the fan base, knowing that they're not out as owners, is not sitting well with them.
There's a little unrest about it. I mean, the report that came out in the New York Times yesterday said, hey, Bert's just going to be there as an observer. So, in my eyes, he's peeking through the blinds. He's going to be in on the meetings. He's been an observer for 30 years, and that hasn't been good. So the fact, I was told in November, and I reported this in November, that 20% of the team was staying with the estate. And I thought it was really interesting that a spokesperson for the estate just pushed back, emphatically denying that 20% was going to be left behind, and it's saying Dundon's group's going to own the whole thing at the end. It's semantics. They probably are going to own the whole thing at the end. But there's going to be about 2 years here where Bert's hanging around like he's sitting at a bus stop watching what's going on. And that's not sitting totally well with everybody.
John, let me pick up on the premise that you probably heard the clip there, Bill Simmons saying on his podcast this week that, hey, this is not a done deal. And maybe he doesn't think the NBA is being honest with Seattle and Las Vegas, and he really focused it on Seattle. That he's intimating that he thinks this is a fishing expedition here by the NBA just to see what they could potentially fetch, and that maybe it doesn't happen at all. If that is the case, do we just close the book on the NBA ever coming back here?
Yeah, you go like double birds. I mean, you just, this is not cool. And look, there's nothing billionaires love more than wielding their leverage. And the NBA is, a bunch of billionaire elitists that, or groups of elitists as the owners. And so, yeah, they're totally out here. And Simmons did a good job kind of laying that out. And I'm glad that you put that out there because, the perception nationally is, Seattle and Vegas are getting these teams. And it's probably going to happen, right? It makes sense. But there's an emotional crowbar here that Adam Silver is wielding, especially on Seattle, where you've been through all of this, having your team ripped away, having bad ownership before that, watching David Stern get petty and vindictive, and then seeing success, right, in Oklahoma City that continues to not feel well for people in Seattle. So yeah, if you don't get this team, this is a deal breaker. I mean, there's no coming back from this.
I would agree. Let me flip over another sport that we talked about: expansion, maybe realignment and relocation. MLB, where are we at with the Major League Baseball in Portland?
Rob Manfred's legacy is really what is mixed up in all of this. Manfred, he's on his last contract as the commissioner of MLB. He's talked openly about wanting to expand, wanting to fix things before he gets out, wanting to, amend some of the travel problems with some of the divisions that don't make sense and get more geographically friendly and cut down some costs for his owners, right? If you're playing more games regionally, then college sports could tell him a thing or two about this. But Manfred has dangled the idea of expansion. It's not all that different from what Silver's doing with Vegas and Seattle, but he puts Portland and Salt Lake City and places like Raleigh and Nashville on alert, and all these groups sort of scramble around, not knowing if they're being used as stalking horses. Seattle and Vegas should pay attention to that. And there's really nothing that has moved. He said the last kind of thing that he said that mattered was we have to get the A's and the Rays settled. Kind of got them settled. I was in Vegas. They're building that stadium, and the Rays, stadium situation has been, seemingly fixed and then not fixed a number of times. So until those two franchises get totally settled, expansion's on hold. Salt Lake City appears to me to be the more evolved effort, but I've heard a lot of good things about what this Portland group is doing. And could Portland get a team? Yes. Would Tom Dundon be okay with Portland getting a team? Probably not on his watch. He didn't buy the Blazers to have competition. So right. I think, you've got a new force in the marketplace now if you're the MLB to PDX effort.
Well, and we've talked about this before, but one of I think the biggest people that would be roadblock would be the Mariners. They don't want Portland to have a team at all. It'd be done. I mean, they don't want to see that. That's their market. Their reach is the Pacific Northwest, right? Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska.
Yeah.
So they finally pulled the plug on Scott Barnes, correct, with Oregon State.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be done. This last year dealing with this athletics department has just been an unmitigated mess for him.
Yeah, he, let's start with the good. He hired Jonathan Smith, put that in the win column. That was a really good hire that he found, in the wake of Gary Anderson leaving, ditching the program. That was a nice move by Barnes. He got Reser Stadium fixed up, that West Side project, even amid the Pac-12 splintering, he jammed that through and got it done. And then he was instrumental in kind of the Pac-12's rebuild. Think about what was going on at Washington State. Pat Chun leaves for Washington. Dickert leaves for Wake Forest. Kyle Smith leaves for Stanford. You got your president, Kirk Schultz, who takes off and you had unrest with the trustees. Washington State was a mess there for a while. They've seemingly pulled it back together, but they were messy. And so Oregon State really needed Barnes to kind of step in, and the Pac-12 needed Barnes to step in, and he did. Stepped in and kind of was involved with Teresa Gold and, the teams that departed the Mountain West. Barnes, rolled up his sleeves on that front. But while he was doing that, he kind of forgot his primary focus. Oregon State was operating maybe with a little bit of an absentee athletic director during that time. And the fans got frustrated. The coaches got frustrated. Puck, I've never seen an athletic department. They have 14 coaches. I think he was 0 for 14 as I called around with vote of confidences. Like nobody was saying, no. Everybody was saying, yeah, I would be open to something new.
How are you? But okay, so if Jamarcus Shepard could pull the ripcord and get out of this, do you think you would?
I think both Jamarcus Shepard and Justin Joyner would have taken any Division I job, right? They didn't. I don't think they cared who the AD was. I think they would have taken any D1 job given where they were. They were just both ready to do this. So I don't think it's a ripcord situation. I've talked to both of them since the Barnes announcement. They seem to be willing to go with the flow. I actually think this benefits them in a weird way. It wouldn't normally. When your AD leaves and you're the football coach or the men's basketball coach, you're like, pack a bag, have a go bag ready. But for these guys, I think they kind of saw it coming. I was forecasting that he was going to step into an advisory role for the last year. And then I think they, in a weird way, they end up okay. But this isn't ideal, but they end up okay.
Okay. I want to go to another college story. And listen, I spend many weekends, it started now, and then we'll go into the summer at baseball tournaments. I'm very, very used to the 1 hour and 45-minute time limit, which I hate.
Yeah.
I just hate it because you know what? Whether you're trailing, well, you like it when you're winning, but when you're trailing, like, well, listen, we could come back, but now it's a time limit, so we have to end. I didn't think this would happen in college sports, but that's exactly what happened at a softball game last week, Oregon and Northwestern. Give me the details on this one. Now, this is all got to be about because Oregon's got to be back at a certain time. Right. This is nothing they ever had to deal with when they were in the Pac-12 playing on the West Coast, correct?
100%. 100%. This is
so. Tell everyone what happened.
So Oregon, obviously, Oregon's starting a series on Thursday. They're going to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Oregon, is saying, hey, your softball team doesn't have a charter; they fly commercial. So there has to be, just from a logistics standpoint, there has to be a drop dead. Hey, this is when we need to leave the stadium to get to the airport in Chicago. You're playing in Evanston. You've got to get to O'Hare to fly out. And so Melissa Lombardi, the coach at Oregon, arrives at home plate on the Thursday. Now, I have more details here. She arrives at home plate for the exchanging of the lineups on the Thursday. And as they're talking about ground rules and where she informs the Northwestern coach, hey, on Saturday's game, we have a 3 p.m. drop dead that we have to be leaving the stadium at 3 p.m. And so, the Northwestern wasn't happy about this. There was a little bit later flight, but Oregon's leaving itself a little bit of margin, to get to the airport, to account for traffic. And so what happens on Saturday, naturally, this is like a 4-2 game, and they get into the 7th inning, and one of the women for Oregon hits a 2-run homer. Another person hits a sac fly. It's her 26th sacrifice fly of the season. It sets a school record, but because the inning 3 o'clock hit and they were mid-inning, they had to revert back to the prior inning. Home run goes away. Sac fly goes away. Instead of 7-2, it's 4-2. And oh, by the way, when the time limit hit, Northwestern had base runners on and a hitter at the plate. And so Northwestern wasn't happy about this. Oregon's just saying, hey, you knew the rule. But for the rest of us, further evidence that the geography of the Big Ten Conference, commercial flights.
Stupid.
It's the dumbest thing ever. This is the stupidest thing ever. Exhibit Z.
You're ending a game because you decided to pick up your whole sports organization and move it to the frickin' Midwest, and now you can't finish the game because you have to be back for a. It's just. I hope this is one of many examples where these schools and whoever oversees the NCAA eventually and college athletics just wakes up and gets it. that you can't do this stuff. Now, I know it's not going to mean football is going to come back, because football is just going to break out to its own thing. But these other sports just need to come back, and that team should be playing UCLA, and I don't know if Oregon State has a team, and USC, and all those.
Yeah, Washington. They should just keep it on the West. Stanford, Cal. You should be playing Stanford
ridiculous.
and Cal. But, I heard from, it's interesting, I heard from a couple other softball coaches in the Big Ten, and they didn't like that Oregon put the 3 p.m. deadline on that Saturday. They said that there was a later flight available, but from Melissa Lombardi's standpoint, she's trying to take care of her players, right? She's trying to say, hey, I want them to get back home at a decent hour, and, I didn't choose this. So I think it was a little bit of a protest vote there by Oregon softball saying, all right, this is the schedule. This is what you've done to us. We're going to leave town at 3. We're going to make sure we get out okay. But, I'll go back and I'll tell you this, Puck. They didn't care. They didn't care about soccer. They didn't care about volleyball. They didn't care about women's basketball. They didn't care about baseball, softball, track and field. They didn't even ask. They didn't go to the coaches and say, hey, what do you think? They didn't ask for input. None of them did. UCLA didn't do it. I was in Seattle for a football game, for a Washington football game, and I was staying at like one of the hotels not far from the stadium, and UCLA's men's soccer team was staying at the hotel the same day I was there. And I go to one of those breakfast things where they have kind of the continental breakfast, and the UCLA soccer team's there.
Did they have a waffle maker?
Right. Yes, they did. Right after UCLA and USC had announced they were leaving for the Big Ten, I got to sit down with a bunch of soccer players. I wrote a column about all these soccer players who were saying, a couple of the guys were like, hey, I'm glad I'm graduating. I don't want to go play at Rutgers. I don't want to play at Northwestern. And I wrote this column about it. And Martin Jarmon, the athletic director at UCLA, got all kinds of mad, like basically, you didn't ask permission to talk to these players. I said, hey, these guys were talking to me in a public setting. Like, get off my back. You made a decision. You've got athletes at your school who are saying nobody asked me, and I'm being dragged along for the ride. This is happening all over the country. It's happening at Stanford, Cal, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington. Nobody signed up for this.
We got the Final Four this week. A great game, right? Michigan, Arizona, which could be the national championship game. Yeah. Illinois, UConn, which is going to be a great game. It's unfortunate. I don't like the narrative because Illinois is a fun team. Yeah. They are really good. UConn, the pedigree, what they have done there, Dan Hurley, and the way that they play offensive basketball is just beautiful. I mean, beautiful. That game is going to be great. It's unfortunate that people are saying, well, really, the national championship game is Michigan and Arizona. I don't agree with that.
I don't agree either. Any of these teams, I think any of these teams could win it. I do. I really do.
Does it make you feel old that Peja Stojakovic's kid is on Illinois?
I'm looking at Carlos Boozer in the Elite Eight, and I'm going, I remember when he was in high school, for crying out loud.
I felt so bad for the not as hyped up or popular Boozer who made the turnover, because he plays in the shadow of his brother. He makes just a bad decision, just should have held on to the ball like the other kid should have, the star kid should have. They turn it over, but UConn wins just a
I'll go
beautiful
even back.
shot.
Look, John Shire, part of his job as a coach is to put his players in good position.
Yeah.
He has a timeout in that situation. Before they inbound the ball, you call timeout. Why? Because that Boozer kid's going to relive this moment every March for the rest of his life, right? Yeah. That's bad coaching. And he said, I was saving it in the event that we got in trouble or whatever. You got to inbound the ball. You have to hold the ball. But I would have liked to see Shire call timeout there and say to his guys, look, there's no half court violation. You get in trouble, throw the ball down to the other end of the court, throw the ball up in the air, hold the ball and make them mug you. Even a jump ball situation would have been better than the result. What we can't do is we can't turn the ball over here. So let's make sound passes, 2 hands on the ball, and just hold it. Just hold the thing if you need to. But they finished the season with a timeout, and credit to UConn. They never stopped playing. All those guys could shoot threes. Love that moment for the tournament, but I just hate that poor kid, as you say, the Boozer Light, ends up having to relive that moment. I mean, every March it'll be like the timeout from the Fab Fab Five.
Exactly. I'm probably in the minority on this one, but I'm a big fan of Dan Hurley. And I don't know why. He's just fiery. He definitely goes over the line. I get it. What's your stance on Dan Hurley? Did you see the video where it looked like he headbutted the guy at the end again?
Look, I like real people.
Yeah,
I'm in this to cover real people, and that's why I enjoyed covering Bobby Knight as a beat reporter. You never knew what was going to happen. You never turned your microphone off, your little tape recorder off. Then I had Tark. Tark was real. He was authentic. He was gritty. This is not a black and white world, right? There's a lot of gray. Everything's knotted and gnarled, and I'm interested and fascinated by real people. The Hurley family is fascinating to me. Like Bobby, I can remember a Pac-12 tournament where Oregon beat Arizona State, and Bobby was pissed off at the end of the game. He goes into his locker room. He goes to the news conference. I go to the news conference. I'm like, man, he's fuming. I walk outside T-Mobile Arena, and I'm walking back through towards Park MGM Hotel across the street. I look over, Bobby's next to me, still in the same outfit he had at the thing, and he's walking and he's muttering and talking to himself, and he looks over and he sees me and he starts in on what this happened and the officiating. That's a real person. These guys are authentic. They're real. They care. You don't have to love everything he does, but man, what a nice moment for his team. And they were well coached. They were prepared for that moment.
Sports, you get these tragic stories in sports, John, and this Tiger Woods story again. How many times that he's been involved in an accident like this? What's the, appropriate thing to say or a reaction to his latest mishap?
I just think I go back to the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Isn't it come up over and over? Teams will say, oh, we've signed a player and, he's turned over a new leaf, or he got married, or he's matured. And then lo and behold, Sean Kemp turns out to be Sean Kemp, and Isaiah Ryder is Isaiah Ryder, and Tiger is Tiger. And, John Daly is John Daly. And you are who you are in the end. But I looked at the first thing I looked at was I thought, what is Tiger's net worth? It's $1.5 billion. Get a driver. Hire a driver, never drive again in the rest of your life if you can't handle it. But what a disciplined athlete who is so undisciplined and unpredictable in different elements of his personal life. What a messy personal life when you compare it to how locked in and focused and all the practice and the dedication and discipline he had as a golfer. It's just astounding to me.
My buddy Mitch, Mitch Levy who does a podcast as well, and we do a show together on Thursdays. And in his podcast on Monday, he brought up a good point that I hadn't thought about when it comes to Tiger. Here's a guy that, again, his blood alcohol was 0, right? So he was not drunk. So it was clearly medication. And officers, I think, came out today that it was hydrocodone that they found in his pockets. He's how many surgeries has he had? I don't know, 15?
Yeah.
He has to take something for the pain, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know. I've not had 15 surgeries. What does someone like him have to do? If they have an opioid addiction, what else is out there? I mean, you do understand, it's kind of a tragedy because he's dealing with this pain. It's clear that it sounds like he has an addiction to this.
Yeah.
Ibuprofen's not going to work. So he has to take this stuff, but yet at the same time, he's clearly has an issue with it.
Chris Herron, former Boston Celtic, Denver Nugget, he played for Jerry Tarkanian at Fresno State. Really legendary high school player in the Massachusetts, in the Boston area. Chris Herron, he came on my show one time and he came on a couple times where he's talked about his addiction. He also ended up addicted to opioids and in the NBA. And he was talking about the struggles that he's had. You should get him on your show.
Okay.
He talked about the struggles that he had in sort of dealing with that in rock bottom moments. He was at the hospital, his youngest child's being born, and he bailed from the hospital to go buy opioids. And, he got into heroin, talked about the number of rock bottom moments he had. And he came on my show and he talked about it. And then I got an email later that day, and from a listener who was in Salem, Oregon, who got into his car, and he said he was getting into his car. He was driving up to Portland to go get heroin, and he heard heroin on the show. And he said he got to about Woodburn, maybe 15 miles, and he did a U-turn and turned around and went back, hearing Heron talk about the addiction and how powerful it is and how devastating it is and damaging it is to your family. And he said, ultimately, I wrote the guy back and I said, oh my gosh, that's so powerful. And that's great. But the guy wrote me, he replied and he said, yeah, I won today. I don't know if I'll win tomorrow. And it, for a lot of us, we don't understand that draw, that addiction, that and there's probably people watching this now who are nodding their heads going, they've been around it or they know it personally. I think, you need help. You need people like Chris Herron. You need programs. You need a support system, because it is a daily thing. And who knows with Tiger, if it's a daily thing that he has to battle. But given his surgeries and his past, he would not be the first or the last athlete to have an issue with opioids.
All right. What's the latest at johncanzano.com and also up on the YouTube page?
Well, the Monday mailbag's out. I got a couple of videos with Scott Barnes, the Oregon State, the fallout at Oregon State, kind of the backstory of the backstory. Got a big interview with Dan Dickow coming up later today that'll go onto YouTube. But obviously, on the far horizon, I'm going to do something I've never done before. I've always said I go where the stories are. Puck, I'm going to Boston to cover the Boston Marathon here in a couple of weeks. I want to geek out on the culture of these marathon crazies who go and run this thing and run it for time. And I think there's a whole subculture there that has not been explained. So I'm going to go on a little adventure here.
Okay. We'll be on the lookout for it. Thanks, John. We'll see you next week.
All right, man.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer. Your new, locally brewed, domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
And in case you missed any of the Canzano show, will be up on YouTube later. And, of course, part of the Daily Puck Drop on YouTube and also on all podcast platforms, Apple and Spotify's weekly appearance brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Cougar owned and operated 6 great locations across the state. Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. They've got you covered for date night, guys night, ladies night, and large group events. Again, the update on Tiger Woods, police found 2 hydrocodone pills in his pocket. Woods told police he was looking at his cell phone at the time of the accident. Deputies on the scene observed Woods to be profusely sweating. This is what we saw at the TGL the other day. Bloodshot and glassy eyes and extremely dilated pupils, lethargic and slow movements, and persistent hiccups throughout the encounter. At the moment, he remains in the field for the Masters. Speaking of the Masters, hold on. Come on. It never gets old. It just never gets old. The Majors Challenge, Puck's Majors Challenge, is back. We are 9 days away from the Masters. We will have later today where you can register and sign up and pick your golfers. Explanation of all of the prizes. I can tell you the official prizes right now as we are 9 days away from the Butler Cabin. Grand prize, 2 rounds of golf at Gamble Sands. You can either play Gamble or Scarecrow at Twosome. Also, you get a round at the Quicksand course. It's the short course, so a twosome for that. Second place will be a foursome in carts to a premier course of your choice. That's Lake Padden, Legion Memorial, Walter Hall, Cedar Crest, Bellevue, Interbay, Jackson Park, Bill Wright, which is Jefferson. You don't know. West Seattle and Linden Golf Course. Third place is an Eagle range card. It's a $120 value, by the way, valid for range balls at Interbay, Jackson Park, and Bill Wright. That is third place prize. Our Pucks Major Challenge, again, should be up later today or first thing tomorrow to make your picks. And we'll have the link up there at pucksports.com. Big thanks, though, to our newest sponsor this year of Puck's Major Challenge. Just really excited to have my buddy Brian and his company on board, all brought to you by WonderlandTurf.com. WonderlandTurf.com. Elevate your outdoor space. Wonderland Turf. We're just not about turf. We're about creating outdoor wonderland. How about that? It's a great company. If you've ever thought about changing your backyard and getting some turf back there, I'm telling you, you are not going to be disappointed. Brian and his crew just do absolutely terrific work, and you'll love it. You want a putting green back there. You want, maybe just a lawn. You don't have to put a putting green. I would highly recommend putting a putting green. But big thanks to Wonderland Turf for being the proud sponsor here of Puck's Major Challenge. You can reimagine your backyard into golfer's paradise. Visit the website, wonderlandturf.com, or give him a call. Ask for Brian. Tell him Puck sent you. He'll give you a deal. Just played Old Man Hoops with Brian last night. Probably can't walk for a few days, but he'll be fine. 425-359-1903. Trust me, if you're tired of it, it is an absolute no-brainer to do. All right. We will have all of that information up later today, most likely, or the evening up there at pucksports.com. Just 9 days away from the Masters. And again, at this moment, Tiger Woods is still in the Masters field. NFL meetings are taking place down in Phoenix. A couple of quick things to update you on before we get to Brad Adam of I said Root Sports, but Mariners TV. Mike McDonald sitting down with reporters. Nothing earth-shattering. He did say, to his knowledge, DeMarcus Lawrence is coming back. There have been some rumors that maybe Lawrence was going to walk away. Said the same thing that John Schneider has said a couple of different times. They're very high on their running backs. I don't know if they're just saying that, but maybe they are. George Holani and Kenny McIntosh, and eventually Zach Charbonnet will be back, but they're going to have to. They're clearly going to draft someone. Maybe they'll even pull off a trade. You never know, but. Holani's a good back. I'm just not sure if he's going to be the type of feature back that everyone is expecting from a team trying to repeat as Super Bowl champions. The huge news that came out yesterday, which would have been probably one of the biggest piece of news today, if not Colt Emerson signing the contract, was that the Seattle Seahawks, for the first time, going to be on Hard Knocks this year. I'm just hoping we get the Scowler on there and he can say anything else. At some point, they've got to get him on there saying anything else. Now, I think there's going to be a clear-cut star of Hard Knocks. Clear-cut. Runaway leader in the clubhouse who is going to be the biggest star on Hard Knocks. Maybe you have somebody different. You probably do. For my money right now, Gray Zabel will be the absolute star of the Seahawks Hard Knocks. Great show. I didn't watch it last year, but certainly will be tuning in this year to watch Hard Knocks. All right. The Brad Adam, he's with us every single week. We talk baseball with Brad. No longer, of course, Root Sports, as you know. Brad now has moved on to Mariners TV. It's great that we have Brad on. We thought there was a moment we were going to lose Brad. We're not going to lose Brad. He's back with us this year. We talk. Right at the start, we get into the Mariners TV. The difficulty that some of you, not all of you, have had early on watching and trying to find the game. We talk about Colt Emerson, Mariners pitching staff, the Brendan Donovan team as a whole, how they've shaped up so far through the first 5 games of the season. Pretty respectable 3-2 record without guys like Naylor and Cal and Julio doing much. Our weekly conversation with Brad Adam, Mariners TV, all brought to you by our good friend John Howie and John Howie Steak. You want excellence in dining? Visit John Howie Steak and experience premier Northwest dining. Prime custom aged steaks, award-winning wine, unmatched level of service. You won't be disappointed. Make your next reservation today at johnhowiesteak.com. Won't be disappointed in the meal. What you're going to be disappointed in is the next 20 minutes. That's what you're going to be disappointed in.
You mean our podcast?
I think so.
Wow. Hey, that
That's
voice.
that's a hell of a way to say hello, Brad Adam.
Exactly. Hey, that voiceover was really good though, Puck. Professional.
Pretty good when you're working on a real severe budget.
Jazzy. Yeah.
I do all the voice
I do your own.
work.
Right. Female, male, all of them.
Female,
kids.
I play all the parts, Brad Adam. Play all the parts. All right. Well, Brad Adam is with us. Have we decided it's Mariners television, right?
Mariners TV? Yeah. Although, between us, I did slip up and mention Root Sports.
Yeah.
Maybe twice. But yeah, Mariners TV.
Yeah. It's been a good week for Mariners TV. Would you agree?
It's been a good week. It's been a good week. I think once people can now figure out where the game is and how you get Apple and Peacock, but now we're back on Mariners TV. It's going to be just fine. But then today is like Mariners and True and TBS. It's a
what?
Everybody's doing it. Yeah.
All right.
But just Mariners TV. Just Mariners TV tonight.
All right, Brad Adam. We have to start there, but we got to start there. But let me just say that Brad's always brought to you by John Howie Steak. Experience the Northwest premier dining experience. They deliver unmatched. You heard me, Brad. Unmatched level
in the open
of service and attention to detail. Visit that one brown hair girl. I'm in. Visit Sea Star Restaurant and Raw Bar. Also, the Beardsley Public House, Whiskey by John Howie, Wildwood Spirits, and John Howie Catering. Also, you can join the John Howie Club. VIP service, red ropes. No, it's fast and free. You get great deals, 10% back on every check. $75 bonus on birthdays, VIP offers, and early tastings. Okay, you can share the frustration, can you not, with Mariner fans about how this is
absolutely
gone over?
Yeah. So on Sunday, my wife's like, "Hey, let's try to find it on the upstairs TV in the bedroom." So like when she goes to bed, she likes to watch end of the game and post game because then she goes to bed and
so you put your wife to bed when you come on,
basically. She likes to know I'm safe and where I am. And then she's like, I start talking and she just goes like, but we couldn't do it upstairs because we have just a Fire Stick upstairs and we only have the cable box, downstairs with the Xfinity. So I believe you have to have the cable box to get, what is it? 6 or 1261, whatever channel that is.
Yeah.
So we can't, so she can't watch it upstairs.
Huh. It's been confusing. I think this is what I would say. Maybe I speak for, and maybe I don't.
You're the common fan. You are the people.
Yeah, and I don't have cable, and I have YouTube TV, so I had to get the
not on that
TV package, right? I guess, and I'm probably naive, and I probably should have done more research. When I paid the amount of money, I know it's $100 for the TV, just the Mariners.
Deal.
Well, yeah, and $100, but the better deal is you just buy $130 and you get everything. You get every game, yeah.
The 14 teams that they have, MLB?
No, I think you get I think I got the MLB package for $130. But now I got to double check that because now I don't know. No. So I assumed that got me everything. And I have Apple TV. So then I felt that when I had that, I would just go to the Mariners TV on MLB and it would just show up because I had to pay for it. So that's on me. So anytime it happens, with Apple or Peacock or
all the national
destinations they're on. So that's on me. I just think it's I would just say that I don't know whose fault it was. If Major League Baseball, if it's the team or a combination of both, it just could have been handled better of where to actually find it.
Yes.
And I think if I was, if we're doing this all over again, let's try to do it before the day of the game, so people just have an idea.
That'd be better.
There's just there's so many people that are so used to, what was Route 627?
627.
620. They're just 627.
And they tried to get the same channel and somehow couldn't, and then it got some weird 1261 channel.
Yeah. Now I would say this. I mean, you guys and the product, it looks the same.
Yes.
Like nothing has changed. Although when I tried to watch your pregame on opening day, for some reason on the TV, it didn't work. I couldn't get the pregame, but
it was one of our best shows.
Could have been. I bet it was. It could have just been user error. So, but getting on there is fine. And and all that. But there's just, this is more of a Major League Baseball thing, right? There's just a lot of jumping around. It's Apple, it's Peacock, it's NBC. Like when the game was on Peacock the other day,
right?
No one
it wasn't on NBC.
Well, yeah, but no, exactly. But then no one informed anyone that it would be on NBC Sports Network.
Oh, okay.
So if you had YouTube TV like me, you didn't know that you had it until someone told me on social media, hey, it's there. And then I found it. But.
Because I thought it would be on King 5, NBC. But it's NBC Sports, you say.
It was on that, was NBC Sports.
And Peacock. So I don't know if it's going to be, I thought they had the Sunday night games. I thought it was like regular NBC, but again, maybe not.
All right. So
but they've got some Friday night games now. They've got 10 on King. And
yeah, I mean, it's and you are not, that King stuff, are you a part of that or not?
They are just taking our feed. So yes, what you see on Mariners TV is what you'll see on King.
So you don't have to work with Egan.
I do not. I've been sitting next to him in the press box. Like because I sit in my seat. He comes and finds me, sits down, and just nonstop, Puck. I'm pretending to like score and just pretending to nod and just try to, but just, and he's eating hot dogs and he's just crushing popcorn and he's just like, they don't feed him over at King. So he just comes over to eat.
They don't.
And then he goes back across the street.
They don't.
So,
well, as you guys are sitting there for the past, week or so watching the first games, of course, we'll get into the game one of the Yankee series, which is off to a great start, but the first four with Cleveland. What do you make of the first week or so of baseball with the M's?
It's really cold, man. It is really cold
on TV.
God,
oh, Lord.
Oh, you forget that. You're like, why are we opening the season in March? Oh, yeah, because they have a roof. That's why. I think that they're pretty much as advertised. The defense could be a little better. I think that'll settle in. The pitching, first, 5 games, through the rotation, how good are they? Logan Gilbert gives up 3, and that's the highest, the most runs that any starter has given up. The last 2 with Hancock and Castillo. I was thinking that last night. We talked to Val post game, and it's like, hey, everybody's like, well, Logan's, opening day starter, 2nd year in a row. We got to lock him up, and Kirby's maybe he's the best. And oh my gosh, Brian Woo's got the most talent. Bryce Miller's really good if he can stay healthy. Look at Hancock. Look what he did. And it's like, oh, we have Luis Castillo too, right? It's almost like you kind of forget about this veteran guy. They're like, well, boy, he's like the 5th starter now. Let's push him out a little bit. Maybe they can trade him, but he's making too much. Sure. And it's like, well, hold on. You forget how good this guy could be. And he was dominant against the Yankees last night. So I think the pitching obviously is going to carry them again. There's some concerns a little bit in the pen that we can get to maybe later. And I think the offense obviously is going to come around. I think Josh Naylor will get a hit this year. So I'm not too worried. Cal will homer. Julio will, bat over 50. So, the
fact that you can say that after 5 games, as you and I sit here and talk about it, that after 5 games, they are 3-2 and
right.
Those guys have done absolutely nothing.
I agree. Cole Young has been.
Sign me up.
Yep, exactly. Cole Young's been really good at the bottom of the order. Leo Rivas has done a fine job at short. Luke Raley is healthy and hitting, and Canzano, we've seen power. So, the bottom 7, 8, 9 guys have been carrying, and Donovan at the top. So that's been fun to watch. He's been a lot of fun to watch too. Just a guy. You just keep looking at him. You just say to yourself, like, that's a ball player right there. He does everything well, and he gets on. He's just right. He's just.
Uniform is dirty the second he runs out for first pitch. Like just it's already dirty.
Play. Although yesterday I found out something about him that's concerning and upsetting to you and I. You want it?
Doesn't like golf.
Doesn't like golf. He's like
that
on
fits,
his off.
Though it fits.
But his reasoning was pretty good. He's like, baseball's hard. Obviously, on an off day, I don't want to go and be frustrated at golf. And I'm like, that kind of makes sense because you want to just go and relax and have a nice off day.
I thought he was going to say, I don't want it to screw up my swing or something, but I actually like his reasoning even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating. You're damn right it's frustrating. I'm watching YouTube videos last night about drop your hands here, swing here, roll your wrist here. I'm like, I just can't
do it. Hey, new career best for the daughter. played Jefferson yesterday.
For those who don't know, Brad's youngest daughter is on the middle
daughter.
The Bellevue
High
golf team.
Yeah. Number 10 golfer, and they play 10. So, her score will not count. But for herself, personal best at Jefferson, 54.
Nice.
Did very well yesterday.
They play the front or the back?
I do not know. I don't think she would know. So first time there, so we'll see. They're scheduled for Sandpoint tomorrow.
I love Sandpoint.
Yeah, scheduled there tomorrow, but it's supposed to really rain tomorrow. So we'll see. But she's great. I got an off day when I come back off the road, and she's like, "Hey, you want to go play golf?" And I'm like, "Just give me a second."
You're just gonna start crying.
I just start crying. I'm like, "This is what I've been waiting for."
Greatest news ever. Not as great as the news that we woke up on Tuesday with.
Oh my gosh!
What the?
Wow!
I thought it was a joke.
Wow! Wow! Right?
Colt Emerson just got on Tuesday a huge extension, $95 million over 8 years.
How many games has he played?
Zero. It's the largest extension ever for a player who has never had a zero service time. Major League Baseball. He bested, it was
Chourio, right?
Jackson Chourio, yeah.
And the Brewers have done it a couple times. They just did it with that shortstop who, isn't even a top 100 prospect.
No.
It is only for $50 million. I say only.
And Chourio did 8 years, $82 million in 2023. Now
Robert was up there. He's proven to be
very good. It was a wise move by the Brewers, and many feel this will be a wise move for the Mariners and Colt Emerson. But it is it's their money, whatever they can do with it. It's a big risk though, because I guess the one thing would be, listen, if he's successful, it's going to be a steal. A long term, it'll be a steal.
I agree.
But I do think you're in that clubhouse. How he walks in there, he's making more money than all of them except I think 4 players. Like how do you, and you're 20 and you're going to be Hayes. I don't know anything about him. Everything I hear about him, he's great and he's
good
like
kid.
A professional, great kid. So probably not going to be a problem. But boy, there might be some. I don't know. There may be some hurt feelings in there.
Yeah, a good question, and I think people are kind of bringing up on social media that you see and hear, and you would think of it too. 2 words you think of is Evan White.
Yeah, sure.
Right, that didn't work out, but this, they're pretty sold on this guy, and I think this obviously means that we'll see him this year. If you're the guys in the clubhouse, I think they're excited about the team, investing in the young players in the future. And keep spending and keep trying to build this thing and keep it going. If you're Kirby and Logan Gilbert and you're getting close to, talking about extension and signing, pretty good thing. You're like, hey, you got a kid over here. You got 95 million. He's making more than Josh Naylor now, right?
The total deal is more than Naylor. Total deal. He's
more
making
years. Yeah,
more years. He's making more per year than Logan Gilbert and George Kirby and Donovan.
Right. Well, those guys. The pitchers are, I think that they're happy to see this, right? Because it just keeps raising their. Yeah, sure. I don't think there'll be any jealousy. I think this will be considered a good move, ownership, and they're excited about it. This guy was in camp last year. He was in camp this year.
What's
pretty close to making it this year.
So
really,
what's he like?
He does not look or act like a 20-year-old. Real mature. He's kind of like a Donovan type, kind of quiet. Works hard, does his thing. He's really talented, and we saw in spring that he can play shortstop. So, the plan. I don't know the plan, but this is JP's last year under contract. Maybe there's a changing of the guard there. Maybe Emerson, a utility type guy, or maybe they turn Donovan into a utility guy, which is what he's been throughout his career in St. Louis, and bring Colt up. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but we'll see him this year. Right?
You say this year sooner than later? I mean, I don't know what the status with JP is. Sounds like it's getting close. He'll be fine to come back, but here he comes back. This does put some pressure, I would think, on JP Crawford to probably deliver because he's seeing the news. Sure. Well, this guy's going to replace me. No matter what, this guy's replacing me next year.
Possibly there, but at some point, you're right.
Well, for sure next year. Yeah. He's done. Crawford's done, right?
Contract-wise, I mean, they could
Contract-wise.
obviously sign him, sure. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe they move him. I don't know. Maybe they move him different spots. But I mean, it just seems like that he knows and sees the writing on the wall. But I guess what if JP gets off to a bad start and it feels the pressure? I mean, it would be weird that he would feel the pressure of a 20-year-old, but how would you not when he just inked a $95 million deal?
And you know that they're, certainly investing a lot in Cole. It'll be interesting to see, when he comes up and when he does, where's he going to play? Because you don't bring a guy up and not play him. So it'll be very interesting to see how they get him in the lineup every day. But
his numbers have been good, right? I mean, I know it's only a few games. I think they've only played 3 in Tacoma, but he's hitting 357. He's slugging
Homered
over
off
600.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, combined with Everett, Arkansas, and Tacoma, his slash line was 285, 383, 458, 842. So he's delivered at every level. Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think with the makeup and what they see on the field, I mean, obviously with the contract, they feel he's a can't miss prospect type guy to lock him up. And a no trade too. I thought that was that's maybe I missed that. That was interesting. That got snuck in a no trade. Boy, they must just be convinced that he is going to deliver.
Exactly. So
I mean, I've only just seen clips of him. I've never watched a full game of him. But again, what you have said, what I've heard from Divish, who's watched him a bunch, just said he's the absolute real deal. All right, well, it's exciting news. Good for him. I mean, hell, think about if you're him. If it doesn't work out, if he flames out, he's like, F it. I am set for life. I mean,
I'm good.
Evan White, after being traded by the Mariners, was traded by the Braves to the Angels. He's out of baseball right now.
Never made it. I don't think he ever made it back to the bigs after here. I don't think
so. He never played another Major League Baseball game at the MLB level, the majors level, after being traded from here. This guy won a Gold Glove his first year.
Yeah. He was, to be fair, I mean, he was about the best first baseman I've ever seen.
He was tremendous.
He was unbelievably good, but it hurt and he never hit. And $24 million later,
and I remember his background. I think his family needed money or something like that.
Cancer, yes, yeah. So it worked out for him. So good for him. Good kid too.
Look, I'm going to circle back to something you said. You said about the bullpen. What are you seeing that potentially could be?
It's
an issue.
It's with the WBC guys. You look around the league, and it's interesting how a lot of the hitters have gotten off to really slow starts. Not just Cal and Judge. I don't know in Julio. It's an interesting. Be interesting to see stats and how guys perform in the WBC years, because the relievers and the starters, ramp up early, and then they kind of chill for a couple of weeks, and they got to ramp up back up for the season. So the velo just hasn't been there for the guys. Bizzardo and Spire, we saw him again last night, hitting 93, 94 maybe. It's just not there yet. And I don't know if that's just a March thing, an April thing, the first couple outings, weather could be, or it's a WBC thing where they, like I said, just, maxed out early and now they're trying to ramp that back up. Interesting. I mean, a lot of the starters got rocked their first starts. Skeens doesn't get out of the first. I know Cruz killed him in center field, but I think Nola had a bad start. There was another guy who got just rocked. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to that, but, it just hasn't been great yet, and the velo just hasn't been there yet. I don't think even Munoz had his velo when we saw him over the weekend. But again, like you said, it could be a weather thing, sure. So it's just something to watch, something to look at. I don't know.
Also, I think how they handle these starters. You would be shocked this week when I talked to Bill Kruger. He'd like to see the starters go longer. Go longer in
the WBC. Or
now, and I would start. I think the one, I think when Gilbert opened up with 86, can we squeeze another inning out of him? I understand Wu. I think he exited the game at 83. They clearly are trying to protect him.
Yep.
Hancock, you weren't going to push Hancock, even though he had the no hitter and all that. But
he was 90 something.
We
right?
90.
Yeah, 6'7". Yeah.
You and I and Bill, we just grew up in a day and age. 100 was always the number, no matter what. Just always felt 100 was the number. And I guess to Bill's point, if you can squeeze out another inning out of these guys, because they're so good, it's clearly the strength of their team. I mean, look at their ERA. It's
absolutely
through 5 games, it's like 184. I mean, it's unbelievable. Then it just allows you to, get into the Matt Brash and Munoz and Spire and just Ferreira and just be like, that's it. You just shrink the game and
exactly,
with your best pitcher. So,
yep. And then it'll be interesting too to see what they do, in a month or so when Bryce Miller's ready to come back. If Hancock continues to deal like this, I know some fans are saying, hey, go to a 6-man rotation. I don't know if it'll be that easy. But I mean, I guess, Hancock will go back down to the minors and just kind of wait his turn again. But boy, he looked really good.
He did. It's always been consistency with Hancock, though.
True.
We never saw him that great or that good on Sunday, but we've seen glimpses of him. But he's got to be able to put it, multiple together.
And he'll get a chance here while Bryce is still coming back. So it'll be interesting. But again, I don't think Cade Anderson is too far off as he's starting in Double-A. Along with Ryan Sloan, both in Double-A.
Well, that was interesting that both, because I thought that maybe they would sneak him into Everett real quick.
I know.
But they went right to Arkansas. So
yeah, so they might be ready, sooner rather than later too. I mean, it's
how cold has it been out there?
I had on long johns and jeans, and I had 4 layers and a coat, and I was cold. So, I mean, Val had to get a ski hat on. I'm going to bring pocket warmers today.
Have they had the
tea
roof?
And hot chocolate?
Have they had the roof on?
On Sunday, they had the roof on.
Okay, or closed, I should say.
And did you see the broad? Oh, you couldn't see it. So they had.
No, I found it.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying no one advertised that it was going to be on YouTube
Sports.
TV. Yeah.
Did you see Adam Ottavio?
The guy that was out in center field?
Pen, with the blanket and the hat and the gloves. They
I tried to not see him or hear him. Yes.
Right. But they had to keep bringing him different things because it was so cold. Sunday was cold. Yesterday, same thing. Same thing, very cold. So I think it's going to be about the same today. So I'll do the same with my long johns and just ski stuff. I'll be ready to go.
Just really lean into it here on Mariners TV, okay?
Scarf?
No, go scarf, but put on a ski helmet, put on some goggles, and then put on the big ski gloves. Just lean into it, have some fun.
Val, that would be great with Val.
Just lean into it, man.
Try to write.
Yeah. All right, Brad Adams, stay warm. Enjoy these conversations every week. Brad Adam, Mariners TV. You can follow him at Real Brad Adam. Of course, his weekly conversation with us brought to you by John Howie Steak. Big thanks to John Howie. Go visit the website, johnhowiesteak.com. Visit his other locations, his other establishments as well. He's got Sea Star Restaurant, Raw Bar. He's got the Beardsley Public House, Whiskey by John Howie, Wildwood Spirits, and, of course, John Howie Catering. Thank you, Brad.
Wow. You bet. Thanks, bud.
Here comes the 1-2. And he goes. Aaron Judge strikes out. That is career strikeout number 1,500 for Luis Castillo. The run wins it. The 2-1. Hit hard. Fair ball. Cal Raleigh walks it off against the Yankees.
The bluest skies you've ever seen in Seattle.
Big thanks to Brad Adam again joining us. Of course, Mariners TV. Bobby Sherman is back.
And the hills, the greenest green in Seattle.
Good start to the season so far. Good start to the series there against the Yankees. Because of the Emerson news, we didn't really get into too much of the game last night. Cal, of course, with the game winner. It was wonderful. Good for Cal because, obviously how the season has started has not gone great for Cal, how the WBC was. He took yesterday's game off kind of early. I know they said that was a plan. It wasn't the plan. That was he may need a mental break because of all the strikeouts. They gave it to him, but then they bring him in. Just great for his confidence. Just to kind of feel good about something because it's been, the last month has been kind of tough on him. So great for him. Luis Castillo, who was roughed up in the spring, did not look good at all. Fantastic there on Tuesday. Records his 1,500th strikeout and striking out Aaron Judge. Starting pitching has been fantastic. to start the season. Absolute strength of this team. I don't need this putz to tell you that. 1.84 ERA, 28 strikeouts, 6 walks to start the season. And Cole Young off to a great start. I know it's early, but he's 3 for 6 against left-handers. His OPS to start the season is 980. He's another guy, again, had a great spring, and then you get worried. These guys, sometimes they have these great springs. So to Donovan, is it going to carry over into the regular season? And it has. And he has been fantastic. So now they'll get back at it today. Mariners and Yankees, great start. It was a fun game yesterday. Kudos to all of you guys and gals and everyone that went there, because it looked miserable there on TV. Again, big thanks to Brad. Weekly appearance all brought to you by John Howie Steak. Book your next reservation. Get some fine dining in you. JohnHowieSteak.com. Let's get to On This Day. On This Day, of course, brought to you by Hive Social. We have a brand new commercial for Hive Social.
Welcome to Hive Social, the social network that brings your real-world proximity to life. Tired of endless scrolling and fake connections? Privacy is built into the heart of Hive with easy-to-set-up safety fences and visibility controls. Whether you're here to hang out, network, or meet someone new, create events, share photos and videos, and keep the conversation going with built-in chats for every connection and every moment. Download now and see what's happening around you.
A big thanks to Hive Social, the official Puck Sports meetup app, social meetup app. Download it today again from iOS and Google Play. We're proud to have Hive Social on and sponsoring On This Day. On this day, March 31st. Well, the greatest basketball player had to leave the NBA for a while. Why? Well, some said just, to get away, death of his father, to kind of recoup and recharge, or maybe there was a gambling violation that he had to serve, a suspension they didn't want to talk about. Whatever. Does not matter. What matters is he went and played baseball, this guy. This used to wear number 23, and everyone thought he was crazy when to go play baseball. And he probably was. But you know what? He did kind of good, actually. He wasn't that bad. Michael Jordan, on this day, 1994, the Chicago White Sox assign Michael Jordan to the Birmingham Barons.
One of the best Double-A prospects, though, is definitely not the one who's best known.
Batting 193 with 2 homers and 44 runs batted in.
2 home runs? Make that 3.
I think what this guy's doing is fulfilling a lifelong dream. He's the greatest basketball player in the history of the game. I don't think we'll live long enough to see a better player. This is what he's always wanted to do. He's wanted to play baseball.
Number 3 is just getting kind of...
And it's pretty remarkable what he did when you think about it. He went from not playing, when's the last time he played baseball? Probably in high school, when he was a kid. And he steps in there in his, prime of his career in the NBA, did Jordan. 127 games. I'll be honest with you. You may look at these numbers and go, oh, that's not good. I think it's pretty damn good for a guy who hadn't picked up a glove and a bat for probably 15 years or so. And going up against professional baseball players at that level who eventually would go in on, to the show. He hit 202. His on base was 290. OPS was 556. He hit 3 home runs and he drove in 51. He had 17 doubles. He would be gone from the NBA for about a year and a half. Of course, would return, win 3 more championships. Let's get to happy birthdays on this day, March 31st. One of the best football coaches of all time. The guy that was able to do it in college and then able to translate it into the NFL, and then went on to have a really successful television career. He turns 82 today. He started his career at Louisiana Tech. His first head coaching job took him to Stillwater, Oklahoma, where he was the head football coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Do you have it yet? He would really make his mark when he was hired to take over the University of Miami football program, the Hurricanes, And in 1987, he led them to a national championship. Of course, that would be Jimmy Johnson. He would leave Miami. He would go on to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, taking over for Tom Landry under new owner Jerry Jones. He'd only be there for 5 years. I guess I forgot about that. It wasn't that long. During that span, though, he won 2 Super Bowl titles. He would finish his NFL coaching career with Miami Dolphins. And he had one of the greatest rivalries ever with Buddy Ryan and the Philadelphia Eagles.
They're a very, very talented team, the most talented team we've played so far this year. But I have absolutely no respect for the way they played the game.
Did you say anything, Buddy?
I would have said something to Buddy, but he wouldn't stand on the field long enough. He put his big fat rear end into the dressing room.
Buddy Ryan had one of the best comebacks from that one. I should have played it, where he said, I take offense to that. I've been trying to work out and eat better. I take offense to being called, my fat ass, that I'm overweight. Happy birthday going out to Jimmy Johnson, 82 today. All of that on this day, March 31st, brought to you by Hive Social. Big thanks to Hive Social, the Puck Sports, the official social media app for Puck Sports. Download it today, the social app, Hive Social, from iOS or Google Play. We wrap up the show with Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Tersuli Construction. From emergency response to full-scale rebuilds and remodels. I cannot say rebuild for some reason. Tersuli Construction is a full-service contractor handling your project from start to finish. Locally owned and operated out of Ballard, proudly serving the Puget Sound region for over 15 years. If you're dealing with damage, planning what's next, call the team that does it all, Tersuli Construction. Restoring what matters, building what's next. Give them a call, 206-793-3744. Visit them at tersuli.com. If you're not a golf fan, maybe you didn't see this over the weekend, but one of the great stories, as we're now just, 9 days away from the Masters, it makes the story even better because by winning the Houston Open, he qualified for the Masters. But there was much more that Gary Woodland won this past weekend.
And golf's latest improbable comeback story. And is it ever a good one? Belongs to Gary Woodland.
Woodland was very emotional after winning the Houston Open. He was very emotional for good reason. 30 months ago, Gary Woodland was in a hospital undergoing brain surgery, didn't know if he would ever see his wife and kids again. And after that post-surgery, it was just an amazing accomplishment to get back on the PGA Tour and start playing golf again. He didn't know if he would ever play golf again. All he wanted to do was be able to hug his wife and his kids and be able to be a father as they grow up. He didn't know if golf was in his future, but post that, and he opened up a few weeks ago to a friend of the program, Rex Hoggard of the Golf Channel. And he said since, the last year or so, he's been dealing with, a post-traumatic syndrome, that he been dealing with having anxiety of playing in tournaments post the surgery that he had on his brain and dealing with crowds and had to have security around him when he was playing at tournaments, not the fear of his life, but just did not feel comfortable on the course, and something that he just opened up about with Rex Hoggard. It took a lot of strength and courage to do that. All the while trying to win a golf tournament and trying to earn for his family and get back on the winning side of things on the tour. And he did it this weekend. It's an unbelievable comeback story for a guy that at least we don't know, but every indications are that he's just a great guy. No one has ever said a bad thing about Gary Woodland. And this is what sports and what life is all about. To see the emotion that he had on the 18th green, hugging his wife. He would later say, having his wife with him there for all 18 holes on Sunday, saying, quote, "This has been hard on me, but it's been a lot harder on her." Kudos to Gary Woodland, his entire family, his team around him. And to get back on the winning ways, this guy is a major champion winner, winning the U.S. Open. He's a hell of a golfer, great athlete, was a sports star, and playing basketball as well. And he qualifies for the Masters, and I think will be a very good pick at the Masters. Has the game to win there, but just a real good feel-good story. Gary Woodland winning last week at the Houston Open. That is Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Tersuli Construction, restoring what matters and building what's next. Give them a call, 206-793-3744. Visit them at tersuli.com. Thanks for watching and listening to today's show. As always, big thanks to our sponsors. Could not do it without their support. Couldn't do it without your support as well. So I always appreciative of that. Limback Lumber, Flat Stick Pub, Georgetown Brewery, All Aces Concrete Coating, Hive Social, and Tersuli Construction. Find today's Daily Puck Drop up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. Also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms and at pucksports.com. For YouTube and all the podcast platforms, leave a comment, leave a review. YouTube, if you're not subscribing, hit that subscribe button. You may watch it and not be a subscriber. Just hit that. We're close to 6,000. Would love to get over that here this week. We will have more details on Puck's Majors Challenge coming up later today. All details will be up at pucksports.com. Also, as part of your Puck Sports membership, being a Puck's Posse member, again, it's just $5 a month. If you have any issues with it, but you want access to the bonus shows that we do, send me an email. I'll take care of you. puck@pucksports.com. But we've got coming out later today, Matt Stretch Johnson on Tuesdays, the Sports Pit. We've got Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish coming out tomorrow, and KJ Arts with Mitch Levy coming out on Thursday. Graz with Gas, I think, is going to come out on Thursday. They did not do a show yesterday, but I think the target date for them is on Thursday. Of course, we produce that now here at Puck Sports. All right, that's it. Me talking. Colt Emerson, son of a gun, man. Just imagine. I mean, we all think he's going to do well, right? That he's going to make it. But if he doesn't, boy, did he just get paid a lot of money. Good for him. All right. Wish we all could be that lucky. 20 years old. $95 million. Man. Great chat with everyone today. We will talk to you tomorrow. Wednesday's show, of course, will feature Ryan Divish. The go-to guy will be back, Jimmy Moore. Until then, as always, we promise to be better.
No shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!